We're going to get started here. Throwdown finalists. Throwdown finalists. You know your order. You know when you're up. When the person who is directly in front of you is up here doing their presentation, I'd like you to go out one of these two doors, preferably the back, and step outside and get mic'd up, because you'll be up next, right? So when the person in order in front of you is up here, you should be out in the hall getting mic'd. All right? Allison is first. Are you mic'd? Well, let's see. Does it work? Hello? Can you hear me?
I need to wait for Steve.
All right. And this is my clicker.
Javier's on. You can see him. So we're out there live.
All right, everybody wave. Hi, Javier. We're so glad you're here. We missed you so much. And we know by the time the consulate opens in 2024, you'll be able to join us again. All right. Javier was the winner of overall best use of gamification design. He won that in 2019 and will be leading an opening session for us tomorrow morning. We're going to, we have the technology. We're going to beam him in from Colombia. So we'll be doing that to get the show started tomorrow morning, and you will love him. Probably like in the top 5 most genius gamification designers on the planet. So you won't want to miss that. All right, let's get started. You have your voter cards. You don't have to make your decisions now, but you will have to make a decision. Ready? First up is Allison Beecher. She's a senior instructional designer and manager of products and services for Global Learning Systems, Inc. With over 25 years of experience in education, she expertly manages GLS's cybersecurity curriculum, contributing ideas and leading the development of new products. She was the lead instructional designer for GLS's award-winning secure coding with the OWASP Top 10 2017 training program, Best Product Cybersecurity Training for Cyber Defense Magazine InfoSec 2019 awards, and has been striving for 5 years to improve engagement and learning in cybersecurity training by incorporating game-based learning in GLS products. And everyone at GLS thanks you, I'm sure, for that. Okay, so her project name is GLS CSI Phishing. Thank you.
Everyone, let's see, I've never used one of these before. There we go. Okay, so who has ever fallen for a phishing scam? You know the ones. They look like this. I have. As Monica said, I've been teaching cybersecurity for quite some time now, and I will admit to you that I have fallen for a phishing scam. In fact, most people have at some point. It's a really big problem globally. According to the FBI, in 2021, companies lost over $2 billion to phishing scams, and that's definitely an underreported number because it's only the companies that reported their losses to the FBI. There we go. So, hi, I'm Allison Beecher, and I'm here today to tell you about a game that I developed with my colleague Peter Tesh. We built a game to help organizations teach their employees how to identify phishing scams in the wild. And that's the way we refer to in the real world as opposed to what you see in a training course. So it's a fact of life that some people are better at identifying or spotting scams like that than others. And most of GLS's training is designed for a universal audience because we have customers of all different sizes and in all different industries. But for this game in particular, we chose a somewhat targeted audience. We wanted to address employees who struggle identifying malicious content in their email and social media, and employees who excel at finding it. And I know that seems like two ends of the spectrum that wouldn't meet in the middle, but the idea is actually to offer something new and engaging for people who struggle to practice in a safe environment versus those who excel, giving them something new and exciting to do instead of taking yet another security awareness training course. So the story is that you work as a forensic investigator for a company called CSI, Cybersecurity Investigations. Your company is virtual, so all of your interactions are by video call. And anybody have that experience lately? In your first meeting, your boss introduces you to Rachel Young. She's the Chief Information Security Officer for your first client, Milo's Mattresses. Milo's Mattresses has discovered that they had a data breach. They've tracked the source, the point of infiltration back to their finance department. They know somebody downloaded malware, but that's as far as they've gotten, and now they need your help. So as you're part of your job with CSI, you have been given a remote or a virtual desktop application, and it allows you to remote into Milo's employee computers so you can see the actions that they've been taking. So during the game, you have two tasks. One is to investigate all of these employees' email and social media and track who's been following security policy and who hasn't, and write a report that you can submit to Rachel. And the other is to find the source of the data breach. So the game is kind of like a hidden objects type of puzzle, but you have to evaluate each message or post and determine whether or not it's malicious as opposed to just spotting something. So now I'm going to play a video for you that will demo the game. It will give you an overview of the functionality more quickly than I can, and it'll make it easier for you to understand the game. How do I do this? No, not that. No. How do I get it to play? Is that it? That's it.
Welcome to CSI Fishing. In this game, learners role-play as cybersecurity investigators with finding the cause of a breach in their client company. Your boss, Alex, is here to prep you on your new assignment to investigate the employees of Milo's Mattresses and find out what caused their recent breach. You'll need to look at their social media accounts and email messages and find anything suspicious in order to find the breach. The goal is to identify anything malicious without clicking items that are safe. To facilitate your investigation, you'll have remote access to the desktop of the 4 employees you're investigating. First, you'll access the org chart for the finance department, including the 4 employees you'll be investigating. Clicking on each one will launch their remote desktop. Carmen, your analysis assistant, will help get you started. As you begin flagging items for each employee, she'll also provide feedback on what you find. Let's take a look at one of the employees, Lisa Wong. Once logged into the remote session, you can see Lisa's email and social applications on her desktop. We'll open Outsource first, her business network. This is Lisa's activity log. You'll want to look at each post she's interacted with to make sure there isn't anything suspicious. Here's a post that looks funny. Like it, Carmen will pop up with feedback confirming whether it was in fact malicious. Next, we'll perform the same steps with the other applications. Once you finish going through each account for the 4 employees, you're ready to submit your analysis to Alex. Before you do, you might want to review your findings for each employee in the audit report. If you've successfully flagged the right items, one of them will be identified as the cause of the breach. You're back on the phone with Alex. It shows you your project evaluation, which summarizes the actions you took and gives you a score based on how well you identified the risky items. Now it's your turn to see how well you can identify the breach. Good luck.
Thank you, Allison. And you have the game that people can try it out. Yes? All right, good. Thank you, Allison. Very nicely done. Good, good. Okay. Up next is Amani Al-Kahayat. Amani is an educator, researcher, voice user interface designer, author, and teacher trainer. She's currently pursuing her doctoral degree in instructional technology and media program at Teachers College, Columbia University. She's also the social committee chair at the Immersive Learning Research Network. She founded the virtual teleconference at NYS TESOL in 2021 that brings together educators, practitioners, researchers, and passionate enthusiasts to work together to integrate emerging technologies into education. Her research interests include conversational AI, extended reality for education, immersive storytelling, intelligent NFTs, and decentralized autonomous organization. She moderates and hosts training workshops and guided adventures in different VR platforms. Her project name is Seekers of the Lost, Amani Alkahayat.
Hi, everybody. I'm Amani Alkayat, and I'm an instructional designer. And my project today, sorry. Can you hear me now? Yeah, okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Amani Alkayat, and I'm an instructional designer. And my game is a VR training game for instructional designers who transition from applications, 2D applications into VR, and they don't have the theoretical training to do a good VR and engaging VR game. And also for those who started in college or graduated college, they have good research foundation, but probably they lack the training. And so the game is actually based on storytelling. So the game is storyfied. So I'm going to tell you a story. Okay, so once upon a time, there was the wizard, the master of all wizards. He owned a virtual reality island, and he had all knowledge. Every instructional designer comes to his island looking for information about how to create a portfolio, what are the theories of learning, how to make learning engaging. And so he hid all of these information in the book of knowledge. And so one day the pirates know about his book and they wanted to rule the world of virtual reality and gain or seize the book. And so the pirate got panicked. He didn't know what to do. And he had to think very fast in order to hide the book of knowledge. And so he knew that he can't hide it and only one person gets the whole knowledge of everything. So he said, I shall divide this island into 3 areas, and I shall call it the Jigsaw Island for the seekers of the lost. And I'll cast a magic spell so that the only good people can find it. So any instructional designer is a good person, so they can go to the island and find the challenges and everything. But what did the master did? What did the master do? Is that he created the Jigsaw Island. The island is made of 3 parts, and in each part he hid part of the knowledge for the groups of learners. And so if we have 15 groups of learners, we have group 1, group 2, and group 3. So group 1 would go, for example, to the cognitive aspect of learning, and then group 2 would go to the cultural aspect of learning. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then group 3 can go to the social culture aspect of learning, because each component is really important when we design any learning experience, even if it's not virtual reality. And so that would be in level 1, and then in level 2 they will be regrouped, and then we're going from the concept understanding, and then in level 2 we go for the higher level of Bloom's taxonomy, which is doing something. So they would be regrouped, teaching each other, and then they would do something when they teleport to the other one. And so level 1 path, the master has left to everybody a message in the bottle, giving them scenario in terms of scenario-based learning, a scenario that relates to one of the learners, and then they will go through challenges, knowledge coins, and the gem. The gem will free everyone to another world where they can live freely, work with each other, and then they can design their own immersive experience that's based on the knowledge. And when the learners teleport, they will be regrouped together, and then they will design the immersive experience. And so each level has its own mechanics in terms of knowledge share, mentorship, and also they will collect currency. And so this is a walkthrough to the game. And so it's just loading. So once you get into the game, you will find the pirate, and then he will give you some instructions, and then you will go through the gate. And then these are also specific instructions about the game. This is the message in the bottle. This is the first challenge. This is the second challenge. I just skipped through the other challenges, and this is the knowledge coin, and you have to escape the island to go to the other worlds. And so you will get congratulations, and then you will have to look for other instructions so that you will be regrouped with the other teams so that you can create an immersive experience. And so it's over there. So it gives you some problem, and then you have to look for some examples if you are stuck. Thank you.
Thank you, Amani. That's really good. Really, really good. All right, next up is Anne Kudret. Anne leads digital learning and innovation for audit and assurance learning at Deloitte. She is part of a global learning team of about 40 people, which designs and develops audit technical learning for 75,000 audit practitioners in the Deloitte Global Network. Prior to that, Anne held various positions both in learning and audit client service in her 17 years with Deloitte in France, Ireland, and the United States. Outside of work, you would often find Anne on a climbing wall or completing a Lego build. Her project name is Deloitte Brain Quest.
Hi everyone. So Deloitte Brain Quest is a story of this cute little brain, and your quest as a learner is to bring them to being a skeptical brain. I heard some chuckle. I think some of you are following. I'm not aiming for zombie cute here. I was played with our character. So, but why? Why would you want to make this a skeptical brain? So that's because being professionally skeptical is an essential skill for our learners, the audit professionals at Deloitte. And therefore, we talk about it in basically every single learning we have. So we are always looking for ways to make our training more fresh and engaging and memorable for the learners. So the Brain Quest was imagined as a solution to make professional skepticism top of mind all the time for the learners. So let's see how we do that. We have 5 levels in the Brain Quest. As you climb through the levels, you get more skeptical, and when you reach level 5, you have completed your quest. You climb levels by collecting brain power, and it gets harder and harder. As you get higher in the level, you need more brain power. By the time you get to level 5, you have collected 10,000 brain power. You collect brain power in 2 ways. You have the training zone and the experience zone. Both have different activities and leverage different game mechanics. This is a training zone. We have a set of quizzes in there, 20 quizzes, 100 questions, around 5 topics and 4 levels of difficulties. It's a fast-paced activity. You collect brain power, you collect 3 stars, you get to the next level, you unlock the next difficulty. If you don't know the answer to the question, that's fine. You get a quick feedback, and then the next time you see the question, you will have the correct answer. We have lower levels learning objective for this part. It's around knowledge and understanding. And this section of Brain Quest was designed to be taken in small increments. We were thinking 1 quiz a day over 20 days. That promotes retention, and that's how we keep professional skepticism top of mind at all times. And now we are moving to the experience zone. This is more slow-paced discovery and exploration activity. So here, the learner, they get to watch a 40-minute film where they get to reflect on real-life situations faced by the character in the movie. And they answer questions. But there is a twist with this question, because same as in real life, you get higher stakes and you get only 1 chance to answer. If you don't answer correctly, your brain power is gone forever. Let me repeat that. You don't get it at all. Ooh. The movie itself has been created by a professional organization, and we licensed the movie from them. It's called the Institute of Chartered Accountants from England and Wales. It's an amazing learning tool in itself. Imagine it's as if Netflix had made a show about your favorite learning topic. And that's how we make professional skepticism memorable. So that's about it for BrainQuest. Since we're live streaming, I wanted to give a big shout out to the entire team who made this BrainQuest possible. I would start. And to all of you in the room, I invite you to come over and talk to me at table 3 later. I have a demo version of BrainQuest that you can try on your cell phone. We can talk about the game mechanics we have in there, and we can talk about how we made this entirely with Throwdown and a ton of JavaScript. And we can watch the trailer of the film as we're curious to see what is this amazing Netflix show we are talking about. And that's it for me. Thank you very much. And
Thank you so much. That's good. All right, how we doing? Does anyone have gamification envy right now? What do they have to do? All right, it's going to keep coming. Britt Moranis and Liana Griffin. Let me tell you a little bit about them. Britt Moranis is a gamification program manager for Microsoft, award-winning gamification designer and certified gamification expert. Britt is a soon-to-be-published author set on a mission to help others make learning fun. Britt serves both the Microsoft Store and Microsoft advertising teams in the customer service and sales department. Her co-presenter is Liana Griffin. Liana is a learning evangelist with more than 20 years experience developing programs to help thousands of people around the world grow their skills. Liana has supported companies like Amazon, Facebook, and is now currently working for Microsoft on the learning and development team. Their project name is Microsoft Perfect Fit Card Game. Welcome.
Thank you for calling Microsoft Store Support. My name is Britt. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with today?
Hi, my name's Caitlin.
Well, thanks for calling, Caitlin. How can I assist you?
So this is a little bit awkward, to be honest, but I'm typically an Apple user, and my MacBook Pro is just getting so slow. I think I might need something new. Can you tell me what Microsoft has to offer?
It's actually not awkward at all. I'm really glad you called in, and I'm happy to help you. Just have a couple questions. I want to make sure I really understand your situation. What do you use your MacBook for?
Well, I use it all day for work, but what I really like using it for is gaming.
Ah, we have that in common. I do like a good PC game every now and then. I do have an important question though. What are you wanting this device to be able to do when you think about your gaming experience?
Well, I really want a device that has better graphic capability, so I can see my game better. I also want to make sure that it has a better refresh rate because I hate it when it lags.
Thank you for that information for sure. I'm able to see that you're going to need our strongest device. It's actually a newer device called the Surface Laptop Studio. This has 120 hertz refresh rate, Caitlin, and also Dolby Vision, which we've built in to make those graphics top notch. You have endless hours of high performance gaming. I mean, if you want to know more, I'm happy to tell you the price and a couple color options.
Wow, that sounds super fast, and it might be the exact fit for me. I'd love to know more. Can you share?
Absolutely. All right, thanks for playing around. This is Liana, Microsoft's learning evangelist. And of course, today she was a Microsoft customer.
Thank you. And this is Britt. She's our gamification board advisory leader at Microsoft.
Thank you for coming along on our sales agent and customer journey today. Find the Perfect Fit is all about providing training that uses real life customer scenarios to display how to probe the customer for details. But then we take those details and figure out exactly what device or accessory or subscription they're going to need for their specific needs.
So let's take a little look at the example a little bit closer. The goal of the game is not only to provide a new skill, but to give them the ability to gain confidence and practice their skill. What's really great is each time they play, they get a new set of cards in different orders. And so it really keeps it fresh for the players to win. Not only that, but we have an incentive where we call out the leaderboard on our monthly communication.
And we also have immediate feedback in the game too. When they complete a level, they're gonna get the trophy for that particular level in their in-game trophy case. So you heard me right. This is level 1 that we're showing you today for our Surface lineup. But we also will make levels for Xbox, Office, Windows.
That's right. There's going to be several new levels. They're going to be increased with difficulty on different topics. We are going to be bringing in more life to the customer by using real life customer scenarios based on some of our top call drivers. But Britt, can you summarize what we're trying to solve here?
Absolutely. So from a learning perspective, the sales agents needed to know how to listen. We all kind of fell at that, but how to actually actively listen to the customer and then become what we like to call trusted advisors. So you provide the best solution for that specific customer. Sales agents need to find the perfect fit and the right device, the right accessory subscription, again, for that specific customer. Liana, will you tell them the operational results?
Yes. So not only did we reduce time to proficiency by reducing a 4+ hour training into a 30-minute online training. We launched this with our new hires just a couple months ago for the very first time. And immediately we've already seen that our new hires are performing at a level beyond our 1 year of tenure advocates. So we're seeing a lot of really great impact. We're still working on our return on investment, but I will say that finding the perfect fit has already really had a huge impact with our rich storytelling and bringing these scenarios to life. So I would say, I think it's safe to say that we've helped our learner.
Find the perfect fit.
Thank you.
For our live stream, our instructional designers are on, so we want to specifically say thank you and hi.
Yes.
And
Thank you, Avid, Akansha, and Kritika.
thanks so much.
everybody. All right, they have props. We got props. Does anyone else like to use props? I'm like the prop queen. I have to take a whole suitcase of props. Okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah. All right. Next up is Garima Gupta. She's the founder and CEO of Arthur Learning, an e-learning design firm that creates effective, engaging, and impactful learning solutions. Arthur has won numerous industry awards for its innovative and meaningful work in e-learning. Most recently, it was awarded Company of the Year by Stevie Awards and Canadian SME Organization. In addition to a master's in adult education, Garima has a bachelor's in engineering and over 15 years of experience in learning and development training, digital marketing, content creation, education, and software engineering. Her project name is Audit and Assurance Materiality.
Let me start my timer. So, hi everybody. Before we start, just for a moment, may I ask you to imagine, just for a moment, that you are an accountant. You love accounting and numbers and audit and taxes and how you can help your clients with this. No, you can do it. It's just imagination. But now imagine that you have to teach thousands of students who are 25 to 35-year-olds. They have pre-certification as they want to become certified CPAs, but they've gone to college. So they know the foundation, they know the theory. What they need to learn is how to apply those concepts in their life, right? So that was the brief our client gave us, CPA Canada, and we came up with a game. So the game Audit and Assurance Materiality is a real-life simulation game, as it simulates the process of going through a materiality assessment, which is something accountants do. The objectives, so once students go through this, they're able to practice how to interview a CEO or other stakeholders, how to research a client who's been assigned to. Taking notes is important. As well as, of course, understanding and doing all the calculations, making those calculations, but also making judgment calls when things are not necessarily completely right or wrong, right? There are those gray areas, as well as doing all of this in a high level of stress. Because in real life, there are real consequences to your actions. It's not just a wrong answer. So that is all that we wanted to do. Let's dig in. So the game starts with you as a learner, right? And you are an auditor at an accounting firm. The other character is your boss, Amanjeet, and Amanjeet is not easy to please. He'll give you stern feedback when you do a major mistake, and he gives those feedback from different locations, just make it more realistic. He's out with clients, but also if you do more than 2 major mistakes, he'll put you out. So you have to restart the engagement all over again. There is a gentler presence in the game, Marta. She's your colleague, and she'll sort of nudge you in the right direction as you go along. If you do something minor, then she'll come and correct you. So for every interaction in the back end, we have different counters seeing what its impact is, and we'll give either immediate or delayed feedback. And you're doing all of this for your client, Marcus, who is the CEO of Handy Hardware, and he's a busy man. So the game itself has 2 pieces. You have to first gather feedback, gather information like in real life, and then you have to calculate materiality. So when you're gathering information, you're doing your research and whatnot, you're interviewing the CEO. The CEO has time only for 2 questions because he's busy. So you have to prioritize what information you need. You have to take copious notes, and you have access to a notebook on the side. In the second half, when you're calculating materiality, you only have access to your notes. So if you did not do that, you will have insufficient information. If you ask wrong questions, you will have insufficient information. And you do this can end in one of 3 ways. Either you did it great, perfectly well, you get celebration, or you bombed it, in which case your client will not accept your assessment, your materiality calculation. But more probably, you did it, but you made mistakes on the way. So your client will accept your materiality as valid, but your boss will come back and give you like those feedback in black and white flashback sort of pictures. Like, yeah, you did this and you could have done that. How could you do it better the next time? Technically, we created an articulate storyline using Beyond Videos. There were over 77 video snippets throughout, 68 slides, most with multiple layers. We built it in English and French as well. So, and other stats you guys can see. Because what I really want to see, and I have 1 minute left, is the outcome, because the outcome blew us away. This was offered to 2,500 students in the first run. Will be offered to 15,000 students every year over 5 different courses. And the feedback was amazing. 90% plus positive feedback on every single parameter. The game won Brandon Hall for best use of games and simulations. It won Hermes Platinum for best web-based training. But really, the beautiful thing is the feedback we got, the comments we get from the students. I wish there was more. This will stick with me. Now I understand the process. To hear those kind of comments about e-learning is not something we see often. So that is very, very heartwarming. I would love to invite you on my table. You could see a 1 minute video. You could play with the game. I have some case studies that you could take home. Yeah, so this is something we built for CPA community. And yay to all the team Alpha Learning.
Okay, next up is Graham Cook. See, cargo pants, walked up here without my glasses. Jason, can I borrow yours? Here we go. Graham Cook, based in our HQ in Scotland. Graham is one of the founders and owners of RSVP Design and leads the learning tools and resources business along with the overall commercial aspects of RSVP Design. He also manages our reseller and distribution partnerships around the world and loves to travel, having previously lived in San Francisco. Graham is an experienced international business manager who has been involved in training and HR for more than 30 years. Originally trained as a chemical engineer, he now has a passion for helping others to deliver effective and engaging learning programs. His project name, Challenging Assumptions.
afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here, getting on a plane for business for the first time in a couple of years. So I'm going to talk first of all about challenging assumptions, which is a physical, very low-tech, experiential learning tool, game, activity. I don't really mind what you call these things. So as we would normally do as a company, we always start off with what is the behavior you're trying to change or the skill you're trying to build. And in this case, it was about improving the impact of innovation training in organizations, and very specifically trying to reduce the block to the creative process that's caused by a failure to challenging assumptions, typically at the start of a project. However, it also became clear that a really useful part of this tool is helping people to understand this, that past experience is a really strong driver to current behavior, and it's absolutely fundamental to how adults learn or indeed unlearn something. So our objectives were, let's create a physical activity, because that's tended to be the space that we've played in. It could be used as an engaging and memorable way to experience this power of conscious or unconscious assumptions. And also we want to make it predictable and simple to facilitate, because we know you guys don't have a lot of time to learn new tools and tricks, so we want it easy to set up and use. So when we sat down and thought about this from the design process point of view, we thought, how do we actually observe this behavior? As a facilitator or a trainer, how do you know when learners are challenging the assumptions, and how do you actually observe it? So we started to look around at some lateral thinking puzzles, some familiar games, activities, and eventually we settled on the jigsaw as a paradigm. And I've had the chance to use this all around the world, and it's fascinating to see everyone has an understanding of what a jigsaw paradigm is. So here's a very early photograph of a prototyping session. There's been a lot of talk about fun in learning. I'm not sure this guy's having fun, but he certainly seems to be engaged. So we thought we were maybe onto something in the early stages. We have to move forward. So what is the actual product? So here is one of the versions there. It's simply 22 laser cut wooden pieces. And it's got a solid colour on one side and just unfinished on the other. And unlike most jigsaws, we don't provide a pattern to people, but what we ask you to do as facilitators, and the briefing instructions are relatively simple, and we want it to be small groups, maybe 1 to 4 people, is if I tip all these pieces onto the table, using them all, can you complete the puzzle? Can you put them all together? And no more than that. So I want you to imagine that I've done this, okay? This happens to be a blue one. I've tipped these onto the table. I want you to think about it just for a few seconds. How would you approach that? What would you actually do with those pieces? So most people, when you observe it, start to move them out and start to figure out there's some puzzle pieces that look very much like traditional jigsaw pieces, but others that don't. And if you think that that's a reasonable process to take, then you'd be in line with almost all learners that we've watched engage with this puzzle. However, that won't lead you to a solution. The solution actually is to recognize that some of these puzzle pieces don't go painted side up. So if we observe that behavior at the start, I know what you've done. I know you've made an assumption, and that assumption is based on memory. So the learning outcomes in this are relatively simple, and I'm sure you'll get them. The first step is to recognize existing patterns of thinking. So if it's unconscious and you can't recognize them, how can you change that behavior? Also, existing patterns of informal thinking as we move into new situations. So if you have this paradigm that the big puzzle pieces are painted side up, then that won't help you get to the end. And if you want to see the puzzle, come over and talk to me later, and I'll explain about that. And of course, some assumptions can be helpful, but negative ones really can block progress. So in terms of results, we always look to our customers for the results, because if no one buys them, then it's clearly not a very good product. So for us as a small business, 6,000 puzzles sold in 5 years and sold across 50 countries makes it a good product for us. And so far, the facilitator guide, which tells you a little bit more about how to set up and maybe how to use it, has been translated into a few languages. But I want to leave you just with this, and I realize not everyone will be able to see it. But I like this quote, and you'll find these on the website. Every single time, participants are amazed by the realization and the implications of a set of often unconscious assumptions that can turn into limiting beliefs. And that's what challenging assumptions should do. Thank you.
All right, let's do this. Let's take a 1 minute stand-up break. Everybody stand up. Jonathan is going to teach tomorrow about the importance of gestures and movement in learning. So move a little bit, stretch, stretch, stretch. Take a look at what we've seen so far. Let's run through it. So far, we saw Allison for her GLS CSI Fishing, Amani, Seekers of the Lost, and for Deloitte Brain Quest, Britt and Liana from Microsoft, Find the Perfect Fit card game, Garima, Audit and Assurance Materiality, and Graham in Challenging Assumptions. You can use your cheat sheet, you can use your vote card, but I want you to move and tell one person something from one project that really stood out to you. Pick one project from what you've seen so far, move a little bit, you can move to another table, you can move around, you got 1 minute. One thing from one project you've seen so far that really stood out to you. Join the group. All right, that's good. You can sit down. After, if you get to see Lindsay Leverett, she works with us at Cententia. She's also a fifth grade teacher. I said, let's do a stand activity. What should we do? She said, let's play four corners. Has anyone ever played that? I was afraid somebody would get hurt. So you have to go to four corners, you cover your eyes, you have to call a corner, you guys have to sit down, you're out. Anyhow, it's a game fifth graders play. So it would have been fun. All right, let's keep moving. We've got a handful more of presentations to see. So next up is Graham Cook. Graham is based in Scotland. Graham is one of the owners of RSVP Design. So Graham wrote and said, can I enter 2 projects? I said, absolutely you can. So he has both a low tech, no tech, and then also a high tech. So Graham, welcome.
Apologize for subjecting you to another 5 minutes of this accent.
I love it.
Thank you. So this one is a little bit different for us. As I said, our gig has been in the physical world for most of the last 20 years. So in March 2020, we started to get calls from customers saying, we can no longer use a product that we really like from you called Colorblind. All of our trainings we moved online. Do you have an online version, or indeed can you create one? And we thought, no, we don't. But we had nothing else to do because no one was buying physical products. So this is the original one. This product is nearly 30 years old. And it was originally designed to train air traffic controllers. So the original brief was, let's have a communications game that you can use as part of basic training. And the way the physical activity works, you can see a group is blindfolded, they're handed out some plastic shapes and they've got a problem to solve, and they have to do it by verbal discussion. So that's the way the activity works, and I can tell you more about the physical one if you need to. So back then, phase 1 for us was, will this even work? One of the tricks, or one of the game mechanics, I guess, in Colorblind is taking away your sight so that you only feel the shape and have to describe it. we thought if people can see the shape, isn't that going to be strange? So again, as designers, you go into some fast prototyping mode. What can we do? Well, we can take photographs of the physical shapes. That's one there. We knew that we could securely view an image from Google Drive, and obviously we had an existing game process we could follow. But our biggest worry was, could we achieve a similar learning in a cooperative online environment when we could, because this is a team-based game in a physical environment. So again, going back to this question, and how does it alter the game if you can now see the shapes where before you couldn't? And remember, we had a lot of clients who were very familiar with the physical version. So one of the things we noticed with the physical version is if I have this red shape here and I'm trying to describe it to you, I might say, well, if you've got a shape with two flat sides, hold the flat side to the bottom and the top. And someone else might say, well, if you've got something that feels like it's got 2 points, hold the triangles to the bottom and the top. So we thought, well, in the physical world, isn't it always the way you served it? So we served these shapes in slightly different rotations to see if that made a difference. And obviously testing is a great idea. So one of the things you find out in testing is things that you've never considered. So we've never considered that colour isn't a constant in the digital world. In the physical version, if you hold up this and say, Graham, what colour is it? I'll tell you it's yellow and you believe me and it's true. Whereas that shape in the screen I've heard described as gold, mustard, yellow. So suddenly colour is not a constant. Colour is just another way where you could have ambiguity in discussion with people. So from those two things, we were pretty confident we had an activity that was just as challenging as the original and really was the same experience for the facilitator. So we then moved on to phase 2. By now it's July. We're all enjoying the benefits of COVID and staying at home and not commuting. So for us, it was then about user experience. So on the left is a view of, you can just about make that up. Just about see that, I should say. A view of the platform that we designed. And it was designed by us as learning design experts, not by our cool software partners, although obviously we had to use them. And we launched this within about 3 months of starting the project. So the view you can see on the right, on your right, sorry, is how the shapes are actually served, so you can see the way that the different rotations are there. In terms of learning focus, as I say, this started out as an effective communication activity, but there's a lot in there about diversity, cultural awareness, fantastic tool for using in change management, but it's really about active listening and something that we, I guess, as trainers, always struggle to give people a good experience of. How do you build those skills in active listening? So some of the benefits we found moving online were similar to the physical version. It was an engaging team-based communication. People seemed to quite like it. We would always describe it as fun, however. It's simple to set up and facilitate. And more importantly, it's very easy to record a live session on Zoom or whatever. So it's very easy to replay in a coaching scenario. And we tried to design it to cope with the real life corporate training. So for example, you're told 10 people may turn up to the session. It might be 9, it might be 11, but it's certainly not going to be 10. We had some technology things that we introduced to make it easier for customers to adopt. So again, in terms of results, we sold 266 annual licenses in that first period. We know about 2,000 sessions were created. Again, really nice online. You can see what's happening, whereas we don't know where this box goes. And we reckon about 20,000 learners so far have experienced colourblind online. And again, just leave you with 2 quotes, which are even harder to read, so apologies for that. The first one I put up, because this is a colleague who used the physical version and now only uses the digital version. I just had the done sign, so I'm going to stop and say the second one was someone who moved on from phase 1 to phase 2. So thanks again for your time, and happy to take any questions.
All right, next up is John Caulfield. First, we affectionately call him John Caulfield. John Caulfield defies rational explanation, but in a good way. At Fort Wayne City Utilities, he's the bridge that connects technology, business, and people in new ways. He has master's degrees in communication and computer science, plus years of experience as a corporate trainer, freelance writer, and tabletop game professional. He's also the best-selling author of 36 books, including 25 titles in the popular For Dummies series. His favorite trick is disguising educational content inside fun tabletop games. John, the name of your project is Cloudburst.
So it is a beautiful day, absolutely gorgeous. And you're thinking, the thing I need to do right now is wash my car. So you pull your car around, you get it up on the driveway, you get the hose out, you get all your soap, you're all set up to go, you wash the car down, and when you're done, of course, you get the hose out and you hose it off. Water runs down the driveway, it runs into the street. Where does it go from there? It goes into the storm drain. And where does the storm drain go? Who cares? It's out of sight, out of mind. But the thing is, you care. You just don't know that you care. Because that storm drain is going to go straight into your river or into your lake, into your waterway. It does not go to a treatment plant. It goes straight into the river. Well, this is something that we care about at City Utilities because we're the water company for Fort Wayne and our region in Northeast Indiana. As part of our permits with the Department of or EPA, with the Indiana Department of Environmental Protection, or IDEM, we've got to keep track of how we're doing when we release things into the storm sewers. We've got to test. We've got to know what's going on down there. But we also have to educate. So that means we've got to teach everybody from about 10 years old to 80 years old on things that they don't know about, don't even really care about yet, and don't even know exist. So how do we do that? Well, we actually have a stormwater educator, and she's really awesome. I love learning from her because I didn't know about any of this before I joined the utility. But we teach mostly by throwing people at a wall of facts repeatedly. It's a time-honored tradition. We have a lot of scientific information to present, and we're going to hit you with it over and over and over. But, we looked up, we said, maybe there's a better way. Maybe we can approach this in a slightly different way that's more engaging and that's focused on taking action and it's getting activity. Our problem here was we needed to take an invisible problem and turn it into a tangible experience that people could see and feel and get emotionally involved in. And that's where Cloudburst comes in. So Cloudburst is a tabletop game, but it's different. First off, it's a co-op game. There's only one winner, the entire table. There's only one loser, the entire table. So either you did great or you all didn't. It's rules light. There's one page of rules. So you can't look at the book and go, oh dear God, that looks really hard. No, it's pretty easy. There's only one page. It's pretty fast and it's engaging. And most importantly, nobody looks at it and goes, I hate Monopoly. I don't want to play this game. Thank you. So it starts where you live. That red dot, that was your driveway. So you rinsed off all that soap. It ran down into the storm sewer. But then it rained. Oh no, what happens when it rains? Well, the pollution spreads because that was your soap, that was all the gunk on your driveway, that was all the stuff in the street. But you can stop it. You can play protection that will prevent the pollution from spreading. You do have to watch out though, because now we're a couple turns later and the pollution spread. It got up to the river and now the river is blighted. Blight is how we measure the end of the game. But if you can protect it all and keep the pollution centered, then you protected the town and you win. We've used it in all kinds of things. Community outreach events. We've used it at kids' summer camps. We've used it for employee training. It's an activity that people can get into and enjoy and try. And they get stressed, which is epic. We use it as an activation during training. We use it as a giveaway. I have a copy of our little printed game that people, we have play and win events, and they love that. Our goals, well, our number one goal is awareness. We're going to talk about that in just a sec. But we want people to experience the problem. We want them to get emotionally invested in a solution. We want it to be an us approach. We want it to be the whole table, getting the idea that it's not just you or you or you. We've got to work together on this and let people know this is an issue everywhere. Now, awareness. Awareness is really hard to measure. But our educator listens for how people are reacting. So she does some training, she plays the game, and then she does a debrief. And the biggest things we hear back from people are, oh, now I hear what you were saying. I get this now. Or, wow, that spread fast. My personal favorite is from the kids' camp. Oh, that's why I need to pick up my dog's food. So that's Cloudburst, taking an invisible problem and turning it into a tangible experience.
All right, up next is Josh, or affectionately we call him Doc Yavelberg, PhD. He's the Chief Solution Architect for Flying Cloud Solutions. Josh applies design thinking to solve complex training problems. Josh applies design thinking to solve complex training problems and has worked in a variety of sectors, including higher ed, nonprofits, and government organizations. Josh also holds a Master Craftsman certification from Inventive Gamification and is a certified DHS 508 accessibility tester. In a past life, Josh was also a fine art artist and art historian. When not solving world problems, Josh enjoys giving back to the broader instructional design and gamification communities, sharing his knowledge and research on various topics. His project name, Training Magazine Tech Learn 2021 Conference Engagement. Welcome, Josh Yavelberg.
Thank you. That's just a video that goes on behind me. So thank you all and the attendees. This is a stiff competition. I've played a lot of those games and they are really good. They're really good games. Mine's a bit different. It's not about training necessarily. It's about engagement and looking at game mechanics as a mode for engagement. It's also a tale of two engagement interventions. The first was training mag networks. Anyway, let's start here. How many of you have been to a training mag network conference virtually last year? Training or tech? Okay, a few of you. How many of you attended a virtual conference last year? Most of you. Okay. How did those go? Not too well usually because they sort of lack engagement. There's a large drop off. So the first engagement was the training conference. The training conference, what they asked me to do about 2 weeks before the event, they said, oh, Cathable has points, badges, and leaderboards. Let's turn them on. Josh, do something. Okay, so I jumped in and did something. It did not go well. Okay, it did not go well at all. I mean, we learned a lot though, because it gained about 42,000 interactions worth of data. Now that's where the benefit of game mechanics come in. So evolving that, what we ended up doing is we moved it into Tech Learn's conference, and using the data that we mapped, we were able to determine what interactions engaged individuals use to be engaged in a virtual conference. And we mapped a story onto those, as well as points that we put to the audience and gave the community the power to use those points to create an engagement economy. Now, all this was actually done with no budget at all. Again, they said, go do it. So with a spreadsheet and about $50 using AppSheets, we were able to create an engagement experience, an economy that you'll see here, AppSheet, where users could go and interact, use their points, and purchase items. And at one point, to engage those motivated by the highly motivated, we added a villain. So there was an ability for them to play through as tech learning heroes against a villain, because every hero needs to fight a villain. So this is taking three major theories and putting them into practical application. The first was communities of practice. Events like this are community. And the idea here is we want to create engagement in that community. And how do we do that? We need to look at the mechanics, we need to look at the stories, what makes someone an engaged community member. So that's the community of practice model. So we emphasize those communities of practice. Second was diffusion of innovation. Fusion innovation, we look for the champions, And we looked for who were the laggards, and we tried to bring the laggards up by engaging the champions. So that was using things like the backgrounds you see here. So that engaging members could go into the Zoom meetings, have their cameras on, and spread the word about the story and get more people engaged in what was going on. Next is the game mechanics. So looking at mechanics and motivators, looking at what Jonathan and Monica always tout with the Reese motivation profiles, what makes an engaging community member and what motivates them. So we pushed that through the mechanics, which then drove data. So in the second interaction, there was about half as many people, and we still got about 21,000 interactions that we were able to grab. Oh, there's our villain. That's me, subject matter expert. So he comes into the game, steals all the prizes, has 50,000 points, and you have to, only the engaged people who had gained badges were able to throw points out. So they had to work as a collective to get him out and get their prizes back. And he would also, he trolled the sessions and the chats, and he trolled the discussion forums, asking questions actually to challenge the audience to see there's 50,000 points, he has everything. So, but the benefit of all this is the data. Again, we learned that doing this sort of interaction, giving people control over their points, created an engagement economy that drove statistical significant change into this virtual conference. And so now we're looking at what we can do in the future as we evolve this to another phase, because unfortunately it's limited to one conference. We're trying to move it to conference to conference to conference as a full to support communities of practice moving forward. So you look for that with engaging virtual meetings and John Chen's conference next month. That's a shameless plug.
Okay, coming up is Pradeep. Pradeep UN is Senior Director Inclusive Innovations at Microsoft and the founder of Microsoft's Truth and Insights, a digital platform to enable leaders to engage their teams and customers in courageous conversations. So over a 23-year career in the tech industry, Pradeep has founded startups that bring cinematic storytelling to business, created movies with AI in under 90 seconds, innovated on the first dual screen phone, first apps for Tizen, Samsung Watch, first luxury smartphone, and smart car experiences for Mercedes and Jaguar, and held a number of leadership roles at Microsoft for first generation innovations in collaboration, data, analytics, entertainment, and AI technologies in a 13-year adventure over 2 stints. Pradeep is a diversity champion actively advocating in the industry to help empower employees with inclusion. He has direct family from 3 different continents, communes with droids from planets outside the star system, and colludes with imaginary monsters to manage and entertain his 5-year-old twin girls. His project name is Truth and Insights, Pradeep UN.
I made her read that. Thank you. I'm Pradeep. I'm Truths and Insights. I'm from Microsoft. At Microsoft, our mission is to empower every individual and every organization on the planet and other systems to achieve more. Simple mission, but that's what we're on to, which essentially means we need all of you to work with us, partners, customers. It's a together thing. It's like the game Josh was talking about. You all win together, otherwise it doesn't work. And the answer, therefore, is bonding. And I want to show you a video that sets up the problem, shows you screenshots, and summarizes it. Empower technology to solve my presentation. Then I'm going to come back and just talk about results and outcomes. So, Nisha, I'm going to talk to you about Truths and Insights.
According to Gallup's recent State of Global Workplace report, only 33% of U.S. employees feel engaged, with that number dropping to a dismal 21% worldwide. The pandemic has only served to make things much worse. In monetary terms, the lack of engagement alone is costing U.S. companies $500 billion a year. The Great Resignation is real. Enter a solution for the future, truths and insights. A powerful blend of gamification, storytelling, and social learning. Truths and Insights combines the latest in neuroscience and best-in-breed Microsoft AI, unleashing organizational insights at a global scale. Stories shared, feedback elicited in your native language and in a matter of seconds. Powerful AI analytics allow for post-experience reflection and retrieval, leading to immediate and actionable workplace strategies, all at a speed and scale never seen before. American employees are your future. What's holding you back? Truths and Insights. The future is in play.
Personal truth on the low and no tech category, I do not have a chance at all for today. So what does Truths and Insights do? It actually enables courageous conversations within teams. It's a game played with 6 to 8 people in your organizations within teams, and it's being rolled out throughout the company, and we're actually taking it. I want to show you results. So these are Microsoft employees' reactions from 2 years ago. You can see dates, these are from 2020, but the summaries just brought up a few bullet points. Best game to enable deep discussions. Just take my money and I need this now. I'm a hustler if you talk to me. So this was really the truth in terms of like, okay, we need this out there. I would want that. This was way before we wrote code. I was selling internally before we actually figured out what we should be building. Then here's the data. From 2020 to 2021, how people are using Truths and Insights internally within organizations and teams. And this is the data growing up, hockey stick curve, average of about 300 stories. This was before, so this is 2021. Currently, we have 8 editions split between employee suites, discussions on allyship. It used to be called civil rights, but the game literally was around civil rights, way too much for HR to handle. So we actually went to software, culture and values of Microsoft, which means for you, we'll be doing something which is culture and values for your organization. So it's completely white label customers. Delivery, leaderships, and careers. Because discussions on careers when you have with managers is super linear. I want to be here in 3 years, 5 years. I don't know about your careers. None of that happens. So usually resources are met, the manager doesn't exist, the org doesn't exist in a while. So what's career around? Grit. How do you understand? How do you navigate that? People discussions with each other. So we understand how we get there. Customer suite around accessibility, sustainability, because salespeople cannot have that discussion. They need to. How do you do that? So scenarios used in employee feedback, employee manager discussions, customer problem discovery, the first two are the first suite. Second is the suite. Currently, I want to talk to you about what's happening this year. February 2022, the side hustle turned into my full-time job. That's all I do. May 2022, was inducted into the Microsoft Wall of Fame. Those who are my interns, they work for me. September 2022, last week, I was at Vegas where we actually launched this. So it's currently available for platforms. So all of you can be customers engaging this. And why does all of this matter? Because the driving force for any business is their people. This is about people. Understanding people takes time. And once you do that, the business takes care of itself, making money a lot easier and fun. And I invite you to become Truths and Insights super fan. Come talk to me. I'll share all stories, analogs, and we can work together. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Stuart Bender. Stuart is the Director of the Office of Ethics at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA. Mr. Bender co-led the creation of the USDA NASA ethics training game, and in 2017, he led the creation of USDA's ethics app. In 2016, he received a Presidential Rank Award for meritorious service. Previously, he was Senior Ethics Counsel at the White House Office of Management and Budget, and prior to that, served as an IT telecommunications attorney with the U.S. Navy. Stewart has degrees from the George Washington University School of Law and Brandeis University. His project name is Save the Lunar Greenhouse. Stewart Bender.
You all hear me? This is working. Wonderful.
Is it on?
No.
Wait,
Can you hear me now?
Wait.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna try it without the mic. Can you hear me at this level?
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to join me for an adventure.
I think it's a touch the one to pop
It's
out.
right, clicked right now.
Yeah, it is pop up menu.
Yeah. Close that, click anywhere else. Yeah.
Thank you. Want you to join me for an adventure? This is the Save the Lunar Greenhouse, a journey in federal ethics rules. And this is your adventure, this is your invitation to adventure and learning. The game story is that the American government has a lunar moon base. The moon base is there to enable the astronauts and the crews to go on to Mars and other planets. This is something that happens in real life. That's actually being planned. Key thing is we can recycle air, we can recycle water. You have to grow your own food. And the story here is that on the moon base, there is an automated greenhouse. The automated greenhouse has failed. You and your team have to fix the greenhouse. You only have a limited amount of time before the astronauts have to go back to Earth. And space exploration basically begins and ends on the moon. It goes no further. If you succeed, the astronauts can go to Mars and other celestial bodies. If you don't, they have to go home. Why create an ethics game? Because while ethics is important, it's boring. We decided to use a story-based avatar game. And I want to give you a quick visual of some of the visuals that we use that reflect scenes that are in the office, that are outside the office, at mission control, and on the moon. Our business goals were very clear. Federal ethics is very important to federal employees because the government needs to be trusted by the people it serves. Otherwise, nothing happens. So this game teaches people specific ethics rules, but it uses relevant story-based scenarios with individual stories. There are 9 different avatars, and each of them has a story and a challenge, and you have to assist them through. And it's all based on real life. So we took this from real life things. There are births, there are deaths, there are people looking for new jobs, there are people who have inside information, and what they do with it really plays out in the game. Some of the unique features of the game are it is a complete narrative. It also has a diverse cast. This is the first and only federal ethics game in the government that is avatar-based, that is story-based, and that features complete diversity of the avatars. More unique features, there are 9 unique ethics topics. And that's important because ethics affects a variety of different issues in government. Also, when you play, in addition to having a diverse team, you select for yourself whether your voice, your avatar's voice, is male or female. So there are 9 personal challenges as you go through this journey. And every step of the way, you have help. So after every challenge, after every scenario, you come to this page. A red X means that you got it wrong. Green check means you got it right. There's a help screen. There's an ethics resource toolkit, which basically gives the ethics rules in easy to understand language. We reduced complex regulations to about 2 pages. And here are the metrics that we found. And the metrics are absolutely amazing for ethics training in the federal government. We found that before the game and after the game, there was a tremendous growth. And I want to give you a chart that shows you. Red is before the game and green is after. These are your public servants. These are the people who serve you. And after playing this game, this is what they said when they were asked to assess their knowledge of the ethics rule. In addition, what we found was
93% of learners said the game was a great way to learn about ethics. 98% of learners said that the story-based training game prepared them to be more aware to spot potential ethics issues. And 95% of learners recommended the training to others. That has never happened with ethics training, that people recommend it to others. And I want to, in addition to USDA and NASA using this training, the White House is using this training, the Department of Homeland Security is, as well as the US Import-Export Bank, and we have made it available to every single person in this room and every single person across the globe. It's on the USDA ethics webpage, and it's on our app. And if you come over to the table over there where the purple streamers are, I can show you how to download the game. You can play it right now, and it's on our app. And we do have, I'm going to use my last few minutes just to see if I can play a game, play part of the intro to my time with that.
2 years ago, the USDA and NASA teamed up to place greenhouse on the moon. The advancements from this project are already showing promise to make American farming more.
Anyway, I know that my time is up, but the good news is if you come over to the table over there, we can play for you. You can watch the rest of the video.
All right. To be fair to this last group, let's go ahead and stand up. Everybody stand up, stand up, stand up. We had Graham Cook with colorblind activity design, John Coppell, Cloudburst, Josh Shavelberg, TechLearn 21 conference engagement, Pradeep UN, Truce and Insights, Stuart Bender, Save the Lunar Greenhouse. Same activity, one thing from those last 5 presentations that really stood out to you. What did you learn? What did you see? What are you thinking? Tell one person. And then sit back down when you're finished so I can give you a few more instructions, okay? One person, one thing. One person, one thing. One person, one thing.
My name's Jack.
One person, one thing.
I like the do you stuff but cooperative games like that. Simple rules too. Locked out. Oh, I know. And like our org is still like way being ideas.
All right, that's good. Let's go ahead and start. Okay, let's go ahead and sit down. Okay, ready? Here's what happens next. Here's what happens next. The Throwdown finalists will be around the room. One starts back there and they move around this way. You end up with Stuart over there, number 11. You can walk around. You can walk around asking questions. Let me see, how do I? And let's look at the categories that you're voting in. Best use of surprise and delight. Best use of narrative. Excellence in e-learning or web-based. Excellence in no-tech or low-tech. Overall outstanding use of gamification. Noah.
I asked Jonathan, but he said this is not a thing. Can you give clarification on what the best use of surprise and delight, like what exactly?
Surprise and delight is my favorite mechanic. Surprise and delight is when somebody does that something a little bit of extra that you're like, oh, wasn't that nice? Wasn't that neat how they did that, right? Okay. So just something that really like, they didn't have to do that. That's really cool that they did that. So something that just really jumps out at you as an unexpected, I'm trying to think of an example. Can I use the one from the toilet paper? in Lowe's. Can I use that publicly? Okay. So we were standing in line at Lowe's doing something, getting supplies for something. And they had cases of some kind of toilet paper. I don't know what it was. But it said on the box, it said, proven to have 73% less butt crumbles. I thought it was the cutest thing. I was like, whose sound is that? Like, you really measure that? Whose sound got to measure it, right? But they had it on their box and they used it as part of their marketing. That was just, to me, whoever came up with that is just, to me, brilliant, because we stopped, we looked, we read, we turned, we talked, we laughed, right? I mean, it was waiting in line at Lowe's, and these are just cases that are waiting to be stocked. But that was just a nice little, I just thought it was a stroke of genius. 73% less butt crumbles. There's a job for everyone. Okay. Here's the way the voting goes. Your votes will be turned into the gentleman in the pink suit. Keith Lico will collect your vote cards. What happens is we've got until 2:30. So at 2:30, our next session starts. So you can talk to people, you can take a break, turn in your voting cards. There are 5 categories. You can vote for 5 different projects. You could vote for a project in more than one category. And the way the voting goes is that the overall best use does not have to be one of the other 4. It could be a separate individual, right? So there could be, sometimes there's 4 people who win because somebody wins best use of narrative and best overall, but it could be 5 different projects. So you can vote for a project you like more than once. You can put it in more than one category. If you have any questions, you can ask Keith. Keith is one of our judges. Keith Lico is a gamification master craftsman. Tracy O'Connor is a gamification master craftsman. Javier, who is judging long distance, but he's got all the projects and he's going to walk around via Bernardo to talk with people on FaceTime. And then Jean Maripodi is our lead judge, also a gamification master craftsman. So any questions, you can ask me, ask Joan, ask Jonathan, ask Keith, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Have some fun. And I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Okay. At 2:30, 104, Bernardo Latafe is leading a session on mapping your player journey. In 101, in the other room. In 104 at 2:30 is a session on tabletop ops. So how can you use games that already exist and like reskin them as you think about creating games for you? Bernardo's is a more advanced session. If you feel up to it, you should definitely do that. If you're just getting started, this would be the better session for you. So that's a 2-hour hands-on play lab this afternoon from 2:30 to 4:30. At 4:30, do you want to meet back here, Jonathan, one last time before we, all right, 4:30, let's all meet back here for a quick debrief and then we'll let you know what the next steps are. Good? All right, go make it really tough on those finalists. All right, let's go. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I know you couldn't be here personally and for lots of reasons. We will announce the finalist winners on Thursday afternoon. They'll be announced at the 10th finals, and then we'll be sure to publish it on our website. So GamiCon.us Thursday night, we'll have the finalists listed, the people who won the Gamification Throwdown Award. So thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you soon.
At one point, we had 27 people watching, and a lot of chat too.
Really?